Beautiful sunny day again. I started off with a video a couple of weeks ago on a course that I present called the Six Personal Perspectives. And we started off with removing limiting beliefs. I'm not sure if you guys watched that video, but that was part one. I'm now going on to part two, which is committing to self-mastery. This is a course that has been developed over time, and it discusses the various six personal perspectives, and it's basically an empowerment course that will help you to pretty much sort out a lot of issues you've got in your personal life, business life, and how to kind of clear the way forward to be successful. And so yeah, part one was removing limiting beliefs, which I know was really awesome for a couple of people. They contacted me saying it really helped them to kind of start thinking about the process on how to remove these issues, these fears that they've had, things that are stopping them from succeeding. And today I'd like to speak to you about self-mastery. So self-mastery, psychologists describe it as self-control or self-regulation, and it's the ability to get yourself to consistently behave in a way that moves you towards your goals rather than away from them. It seems quite simple because you think, you spend so many hours doing different things, you should be the master of those things, but often we aren't. And it's because we don't dedicate sufficient time and sufficient resources to those things. So it's the ability to set a course of action and keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets or how unmotivated you are. Often when I do the course, I bring my skipping rope along, and it's just a little story that I tell, but I think it shows the point. It basically, when the girls were little, I've got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, and when they were little, and you're working and you're doing a whole bunch of things, you don't have time for exercise, and you always say that, I don't have time to get to the gym, I don't have time to do this or that. So I needed to create a way that was simple and easy. Picking up a skipping rope, and I thought, well, I could skip, it's exercise, I can be around the kids at the same time, so it was an easy way to kind of get fit. And I picked up the skipping rope, and you would think, anyone can skip, but very untrue, because when I tried skipping, I couldn't do it. And it's taken me 13 years to master the skipping rope. And I always think that self-mastery isn't something that just ends. It's not like you've mastered something and that's the end of that. I think it's a process. It's a continual process, and you're going to keep learning new things and new ways with anything that you do. So often in my course, I pick up the skipping rope, and I show people, I demonstrate the skipping process. But when you start off with something, there's no way that you know how to do that perfectly. So I'd initially start and I'd fumble my way through and hurt myself a million times and really get upset with the rope and put it down and say, I'm not going to do it again. And then I'd continue and continue. And I had an end goal in mind. I wanted to be able to skip for 30 minutes. Well, needless to say, 13 years down the line, I can literally skip for 2 hours. Without thinking about it. It's built into me. I can pick up the rope, I don't fumble, I do it perfectly, and that is because I've spent so much time doing that. Now the girls are older, so I end up going to the gym and doing everything else that I want to do, but I still skip, and it was one of those things that it definitely involved a lot of practice and time, and that is what self-mastery is. And you can't really master the rest of the world until you've mastered yourself, and that is something that we all struggle with, because we've all got various issues and various things that we're not necessarily really good at, and mastering them is quite a task. So self-mastery is really committing to something and putting a plan in action, basically writing down what your goals are in the future, what it is that you see for yourself in terms of what it is that you want to master, and setting up those goals and giving yourself time limits and saying, well, by next week I want to be so far with this, or I want to be, I want to be able to do this. And it really is creating those habits. It's creating that constant thing, that doing something all the time that just becomes a part of you. Like running, walking, whatever it is that you do that you feel is so natural, driving down the road. That wasn't easy when you started. You needed to master driving in order to get to that point. And so self-mastery is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something you really need to give some thought to. You need to look inside of yourself and look at what it is that you want to master about yourself, and put those plans in action. We have so many tools out there that allow us to to create the person we want to be. We think back 25 years ago, we didn't have all the resources we have now. I mean, anytime I think of anything nowadays, I go onto Google or YouTube, or the information is out there. So set up a plan of action and commit to it, and make sure that you follow through. And once you've started doing that and doing it over and over again, it becomes a habit. And it becomes a lot easier. And in that process, you start mastering something. And that's the magic. There is a video called The Mastery Manifesto by Stephan James, which I came across about 3 months ago. And that was an amazing video to watch on self-mastery. It really motivates you to get started. So I suggest that you guys go and have a look at this video. It's called The Mastery Manifesto by Stephan James. Take a look at that. And yes, good luck to you on your self-mastery journey. And I look forward to chatting to you guys again. Have a great day.